Cathar Love 101. Riches and wealth. Don't they sound great? Riches and wealth. And yet, what are they really? I had a phone call this morning. I had a few phone calls this morning, actually. And one was a good friend, an attractive lady. And she was somewhat upset because this person rang her to apologise over how he had treated her some 17 years ago. And she remembered that he didn't treat her very well. At the time she was a young lady, very innocent, right from another country. And I remember her telling me about it before, because she mentioned the person's name, and we won't go into that. And but she said he borrowed her vacuum cleaner, and it broke. Well, I don't know what happened to it while he was using it, and he brought it back, and he said, "Oh," I said, "sorry." He said, "It's broken. Thank you very much for your vacuum cleaner," and walked off. So here he was, and she said he just was he just had no empathy for people, and so anyway, remember, it's somewhat similar to when they talk about the owner of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. They said it was like talking to a computer, had no empathy at all for people. So now I was reminded of that. But anyway, like the Zuckerberg, this guy had done very well for himself, and he was turning over, his company was turning over 50 million Australian dollars a year. And the thing was that after the conversation, and she recalled their relationship at the time, or the lack of relationship at the time, and she thought, life's not fair. Here he is now. He's a second marriage, and here he is turning over $50 million a year. And mind you, my friend's doing okay, but nothing like that. So there's a little bit of envy and jealousy there. And we talked about why did he ring up after 17 years. But the thing was, she when it came back to her, and she thought about it, it was really upsetting times for her. So I suggested that maybe what it was, that this is something that some hurtful times, and obviously hurtful feelings, your emotions were hurt, and it's a very unpleasant time. So we stick that in our far memory, because it's just too painful. We can't handle these things day by day. So most of us have had things that we'd rather forget, but can't forget. So we put them away, hide them away. But they're sitting there, and they're gnawing at us, and they're things we don't need. So I mentioned before, I made a concerted effort to get rid of all the crap out of my life, and I started on working out everyone who I'd hurt, either real or imagined, that hurt me, and the people that I'd hurt. And those that hurt me, I just want to think about it, what they've done, and just forgive them, get it out the way, wish them all the best, wish them all the happiness in the world, hope their wife or husband loves them, hope their dog loves them, everything's getting on well for them. And just forgive them and get it out the way. And they wouldn't know about my forgiving them, and couldn't probably care less about my forgiving them. But the point is, by forgiving, I'm getting it out of my system. It's out of my system, and that's what I wanted. So it took me a few weeks, and the list was growing. So at the end of about 3 weeks, I had something like 2 pages. Some were very slight, and others were quite hurtful. But anyway, and then I just had a little ritual and burnt the whole thing and just got rid of it. So now and then the odd thing appears that I'd missed out on, so I just forgive and get rid of it. So I said to my friend, this is possibly the situation because it's there, you don't need it, and it's a chance for you to get rid of it. But forgive him, but also wish him well. Have loving thoughts about him and hope that everything goes well for him. But it's you getting it out, and it's possibly because you may need, from a spiritual and mystical point of view, to get this out of your system in order for you to move on to another level, another step towards your higher consciousness. I don't know. But I do know everything is significant, and the fact that someone rings you up after 17 years and wants to apologise, well, there must be reasons for it. But we talked about, this led on to riches and wealth and so forth. And look, there's nothing, anyone who tells you poverty is great is either hasn't been in poverty or is absolutely stupid, because there's nothing nice about poverty. Poverty is terrible. It's a terrible place to be, and yet so many people within the world are in poverty, poor. On the other hand, the other extreme, there's the 1% of the world, those people, those .com people who are gathering so much wealth, and one monopoly after another, and they say now it's the top 1% of the world has got something like 95% of the world's wealth. But the point is, with all their wealth and all their riches, how many beds can you sleep in of a night? Whether it's the largest or the smallest. For most people, it's one, unless you want to change beds. Well, that's okay too. It depends who's in the bed. How many meals a day can you eat? In fact, most of us eat too much anyway. I shouldn't say that. Most people don't eat enough. But the rest of us eat too much. And well, what is wealth? I mean, have you a friend? Have you truly 1, 2, 3, 4 really loving friends who do anything for you, and you be honoured to do anything for them? People who just simply love you for who you are and being yourself. And my friend says, well, look, you've got these people who really love you. This guy who rang you up, after 17 years, if he is still the lack of empathy and lack of feelings for other people, and he hasn't changed much, he's not likely he'd have any friends, let alone 2, 1, 2, 3 or 4, because he's not a very loving individual. So what if he's turning over 50 million a year? So what if he's got 2 houses? So what if he's got a yacht? I wouldn't know what he's got, couldn't care less. But whatever we got, be it an iPhone, be it a unit, be it a car, be it anything, they're only on loan to us. Most things will break down after 1 or 2 years anyway and be thrown away. But so we have a house. Well, this is my property. Those are my trees. When you're dead in 5, 10, 15, 20 or 30 or 40 years, those trees are still there. That property's still there. Now it belongs to somebody else. It might be in your family, but it ain't you. You're dead and gone and hopefully buried or cremated. So the greatest wealth in the world, the greatest riches, material riches in the world are there, and no matter how much we own of them and we say, these are my property, they're only yours temporarily. They're on loan to you. And in fact, it's a debt. A loan is a debt in its own way. So the more you have, the more material things you have, in a way of looking at it, it's the greater the debt. It's the greater the loan that you have, and it's yours temporarily. Now, having said that, the other extreme is a place where you don't want to be either. Poverty-stricken. So what is wealth? Certainly wealth is love. You loving someone, someone loving you. Friendship, you having true friends, and friends having you as a true friend. Education, that you enjoy reading a good book, that you can actually see to read a good book, because some people can't. Health is so important. I had went and saw this spirit medium, Barbara. I mentioned her, and when I walked in, she said to me, "You're a dancer." Oh, she said, "You're a ballroom dancer." She put her arms up and she said, "Oh, you've got an operation this month. In fact, 2 operations." And she was right, and it was for cataracts. For whatever reason, I had 20/20 vision, and suddenly I went to have an eye test for my driver's license, and it was blurry, and cataracts came on quite suddenly. And I couldn't get a really good answer as to why they did come on. I don't wear sunglasses, never have. A bright day, glary day doesn't worry me, and a dull day doesn't worry me. But anyway, I had the cataracts done within a fortnight of each other, no problems. Each done within a day. And I'm an ex-serviceman, a few wars, so those things were paid for by the government, so thank you. So although when I went to war, I had no idea that these benefits would be of assistance to me later in life. But anyway, while I was there, and they were putting drops in your eyes, there was about 4 or 5 lined up for an operation that day, and having drops put in their eyes for about probably about 2 hours. But anyway, one of the nurses came up and she pointed to me to another nurse. Well, that was okay. So when that nurse came around the next time, and I said, "You were pointing me out to that other nurse for some reason. Could I ask you why?" And she said, "Yeah." She said, "We look at the paperwork comes in and it checks whether you've got any chronic diseases, you've got this problem or that problem, high blood pressure, all these various things." And she said, "On yours," and it's about 2 pages of things that you may have, she said, "there wasn't anything, and you don't take vitamins, you don't take medicine, you just don't take anything." And she said, "So you are somewhat unique. We don't see people like you in here." So I thought, well, that's a bit sad. Rather than feeling great about it, I thought, well, that's a bit sad, to think that all these other people have either got diabetes or high blood pressure or something. But I don't. So I'm very, very thankful for my health. But I eat well. I do exercise. I do fasting. So I do odd things like that. And regards health, I basically follow the hunter-gatherers, which you were for millions of years. They with their exercise, they moved very fast. They did a lot of exercise, and they ate pretty much whatever they could find. So they had a really wide variety of diet. So I try and eat the widest possible range of things. I cut that back on my meats, but I still enjoy a good steak occasionally. I love my pork, but I've cut them and put the meat side down, so I can go 4 or 5 days, 6 days on a vegetarian diet one way or another. Throw in an egg or 2. But health is just, who cares if you've got $50 million in the bank if you can't enjoy a good steak, or you can't enjoy a good wine. Your knees are gone, you can't dance, you can't walk, you can't run. Health is just so important. How often do we laugh a day? I mean, we should wake up laughing and go to bed laughing. And look, the world and what's happening out there, the world is always in conflict. There's never a time that the world has not been in conflict, and there possibly won't be a time, well, hopefully there will be a time, but it could be many, many lifetimes away as far as we're concerned before we see peace in the world. Because until we learn to love each other, literally, or love rather than religion is taught in schools, ethics, how to respect people, how to tolerate people, how to treat your neighbour, as Christ said. how to look after this, to treat a stranger as you would your family. Until these things are taught. Religion's been taught for thousands of years, and we haven't gained. In fact, we've gone backwards. So, and I'm not talking to any particular religion. They've all failed in that respect as far as I'm concerned. But love, tolerance, respect, those things should be taught. And I think until they are taught, the world is not going to, that'll be possibly the biggest thing for us to make a change. So health, the wealth, we want money. Of course we need money. Money is energy. We need money. We need money to live a decent life, to raise, if we have kids, to educate those children, to put them through university, have the money. So, of course, this is enough money to live a decent, enjoyable and respectful life, and enjoy the fruits of life as well. So, riches, to me, and to many others, of course, is health, is wealth. Love is riches. Being respected for who you are by your peers. This is all wealth. Who cares if you've got everything? If everyone thinks you're a creep and you're a grub, you're there, but you've walked over people and trampled people and devoured possibly the other companies to get to where you are. So what? You're not a winner. You're a loser. You're a lost soul. So our little phone conversation this morning turned into a video today. But it's certainly good to reflect upon. And also, who cares if you're the greatest scientist in the world? There are people. I like science. I listen to science and so forth. And but science hasn't tackled the subject of guides, spirit guides. I have a guide. Her name's Breda. I have another guide on the moors, and I get up and he gives me stuff to write down, and I write it down, and just typing it out as quick as I can. And when it's finished, I go, "Oh wow, gee, that's all right. I know it wasn't me." So there's others who've got guides, and our guides are there, but our guides, they're very hard for them to get a finger hold or a toe hold into our lives, because our lives are out there controlling this and that, and so busy and so too busy doing anything. Our guides need a little bit of stillness, a little bit of quietness, so they can creep into our mind occasionally. So at last resort, they used to often come to us when we're asleep and give us dreams and give us directions in which way to go. But we need to recognise we do have our guide. I mean, and so what? You've got $1 million. You don't even know you have a guide, and there's no connection or communication between you and your guide. So riches are, there's the mystical side of life as well. And this, I don't worry about happiness. Happiness comes and goes. You've got a check for 10 grand. Oh, I'm happy. You're happy for a couple of days. I'm now a person with an extra $10,000. So big deal. Although I appreciate it if one arrives. But so what? The thing is, whether you got anything, any incoming riches or money, whatever, it's how good you feel about yourself. How much inner joy you have. How much inner bliss you have, how much peace of mind, how much tranquility of soul. This is wealth. If you've got that, you've got everything. And if you don't have that, it doesn't matter what else you've got, because your life can be very miserable. But if we can gain these things, and it's a journey, it's a process, and some of us arrive, some of us get there. I haven't arrived. I'm on my way to a degree, but it's feeling good within all the chaos and the conflict of the world. That's not going to change. The conflict will change from there to there, from this city to that town, to that suburb. There'll be chaos and conflict and so forth. But the one thing we can handle, the one thing we can do is endeavour and work towards being peaceful and tranquil within ourselves and having this bliss and inner joy within ourselves within this chaotic and conflicting world. Best of luck to you. So I hope riches and wealth comes to you enough that you live a decent life and you're provided for, but also you get the riches and the wealth within, and which manifests itself as peace of mind and tranquility of soul. Bye for now.